Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 17 of the Not Your Everyday MMA podcast. After a very long break from UFC, just in general, and Tori and
Yeah.
we were on break. We're students, and I just cracked my entire side, and now
It's
we're
fine.
back. We're back. UFC's back, and we're ready to talk about fights again. Tori, are you excited?
I am very, very, very excited. I have been bored. I have not known what to do. I'm not really much of a TV person. Like I don't really watch shows, but just without like the constant MMA news and fights happening, I've just been bored. And so I'm happy that it is finally fight week again and things are spicing up again within the UFC and within the MMA world. I'm very excited.
I agree. I'm also very excited. Can't figure out where I want to put my camera right now, but it's okay. Before we're gonna do a lot in this episode, Tori.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get to those other things, there was a fight that's announced, and it's two fighters I really, really like. So it's super hard for me in my brain. Marlon Vera taking on Corey Sandhagen, February 18th, fight night.
Yes.
What do you think
I
about this fight, Tori?
I am so excited, but also kind of devastated for this fight because these two fighters are my two favorite within the division. And I genuinely do not know who I want to see win this fight. I mean, my heart's kind of leaning towards Cheeto just because he's kind of where I'm near and got a teensy little crush on Cheeto Vera, but that's the only reason I would lean towards him on this fight. But I mean, it's an awesome. This was a great, great, great matchup by the UFC, and I'm extremely excited to see it.
I mean, Corey Sandhagen coming off that impressive win versus Yadong Song, and
Mm-hmm.
then Cheeto Vera coming off the impressive win versus Dominic Cruz. So
Yeah.
like they're both coming off hot wins. They're both right around the same level right now in terms of their
Mm-hmm.
division. It's honestly a great fight to make. It was the fight to make. If they would have made any other fight, I don't know how I
It
would
would
have
have.
agreed
Yeah.
with it. This was the fight to
Yeah.
make. We needed to see these guys fight each other. If I had to give Cheeto Vera an award, it would be most improved fighter.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. He had a really good year, and I mean, he's grown so much, and you can definitely see it when he first got into the UFC after being on Tough. He was mainly grappling. He was mainly that was his main thing. And now we never see him on the floor. His striking has improved tremendously. And the thing that's very interesting about this fight is these two fighters have very similar yet so different fighting styles. So
Mm.
I'm very, very excited to see how they match up and how they compare to one another.
No, I'm also very excited for this fight. I mentioned awards because I was going to transition here. Tori and I got to give our awards. Now, we are not the MMA Hour or whatever podcast you might listen to, unfortunately, yet. So we're not going to give you 30 different awards. We're going to give you like 6 or 7. I don't know how many we have, but they're good awards. And we figured you guys deserve to know what we think about this last year of UFC 2022 because it was wild. It was
It was
wild,
crazy.
Tori.
It was
So,
definitely a crazy year.
number one, first category we're going to go over knockout of the year, Tori. Give me who won your knockout of the year.
So my knockout of the year is going to be Leon Edwards, Mr. Headshot, number one pound for pound king, dead Edwards. I mean, this crazy. I have never been more in shock watching a fight. This was probably one of the most unexpected things. It was just perfect and it was planned out. And I mean, just that left high kick at his eye, Kamaru's eyes went to the back of his head. One of the most groundbreaking moments, I think, moment of the year probably, but an insane moment within the UFC. What about you?
Mine is also the head kick heard around the world. Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman, and Tori. That was when we started. That we started this channel.
Yeah,
That
that
was like
was.
we did a video, then that happened. So it was like kind of
Yeah.
destined to be that this channel is supposed to be good
Yeah.
because that knockout. But I mean, yeah, that was insane. I did really want to give it to Michael Chandler, Tony Ferguson because that was like
That was
one of the
brutal.
coolest knockouts I've ever
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah.
but the significance of it doesn't mean anything. The
No,
head
yeah.
kick, the top, the oh my goodness, it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. Tori, submission of the year. Who do you got?
I have Jessica Andrade's standing arm
Mm,
triangle against Amanda Lemos. That it was the first one we have ever seen. It was crazy. I mean, at first I was watching it, I'm like, wait, did she just tap? And then they had mentioned what had happened. I was like, oh my gosh, like what the? And you had never really seen that. So I thought that was something unique and cool that we've never really seen. I thought it was awesome.
I forgot about that. That is
Yeah.
a great pick. That I did forget about that, and that was awesome. I'm gonna go with Nikita. Is that right?
Nikita. Nikita.
Nikita. Nikita Krylov, Paul Craig. Paul Craig got him in the head triangle. Krylov's just on top of him, pounded. He knocked him down, pounded on top of him, and then Paul Craig just snatched him up. And it was beautiful. I loved that submission. I don't know why I remember that submission, but that was my favorite submission of this year. Fight of the year, Tori. There was a lot of good fights this year. I think this is a really, if this might be the hardest for me, actually, was fight of the year. Who do you have?
Okay, so it was hard because it was between Landwehr and Onama, which was, I believe, on UFC. It was, I believe, Leon. I believe it was Usman versus Edwards too. I think that was the card, but or no. I think it was a fight night card. It was a fight night card, but it was on the main card, and it was crazy. I think Landwehr ended up getting the win, but that fight, both of them just looked dead in the third round. They were just beating each other up, and it was a crazy. That's kind of an honorable mention for me. But I mean, how can you not go with Glover Teixeira versus Yuri Prohashka? I mean, that fight was intense. It wasn't maybe the most technical fight we have ever seen, but it was
Mm-hmm.
definitely one of the best ones we have seen. It showed how much heart both those fighters have.
Yeah. Some honorable mentions that I'm gonna mention. Surprised you didn't mention. Number one, Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler. That fight was
Yeah, that fight was crazy.
awesome. Another one, Stephen Thompson versus Kevin Holland. That was another
Yeah.
really, really great fight. And but mine's gotta be Glover versus Yuri. That fight was it was so cool. I remember
Yeah.
I much like you, Tori, I forced my friends to watch UFC with me.
Yes.
And I could tell we were getting at a point where I felt like people didn't want to come over anymore to watch the fight. They
Yeah.
didn't care, you know. I
Yeah.
was forcing them to be there. And that fight kind of changed the course
Yeah.
of they were like, man, that fight was awesome. If they were all like that, I'd come. And I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But that
It
just
can
goes to
be.
show. That just goes to show how good of a fight it was. So I'm also gonna go with that. And the title implications too. It's huge.
Yeah.
Um Rising Star. I didn't really give a lot of criteria for this, Tori, so you really could have kind of went anywhere with it, but in reality, just somebody who is a rising star, was a rising star. Who's your rising star?
I chose the obvious answer. I chose Alex Pereira. I mean,
Mm,
how could you not? Man goes from never fighting an MMA fight in like 3 years being a UFC champion. Just props to him. He's insane. So I give that to him. People were giving him fighter of the year. I just not yet, not yet for me. But he definitely showed us what he's about this year.
yeah, for sure. Great pick. Out of spite, I will not pick him. I am going to pick Islam Makhachev. Had a
Okay.
great year. Had a great year. Took down the giant. That was Charles Oliveira, who seemed unstoppable, dude. And you could say the same thing about Israel Adesanya, that he seemed unstoppable. And then, well, here comes Islam, and he. The difference is here's the difference for me, Tori. Not to bring up some PTSD moments for you. I'm bringing it up for me too.
That's fine.
Israel had Alex the whole fight,
Yeah.
just until the fifth round. Islam came in
He
and
dominated.
destroyed Charles right away. So that happens. Obviously, Islam didn't fight as much caliber as talent as Alex did, even though Alex really didn't fight that much either. But he did have what's the dude talks a lot? Sean Strickland. He fought Sean
Yeah.
Strickland. That was higher than,
Well,
somebody
if
coming
you
off.
think about it, it's higher than like Bobby Green. Bobby
Yeah,
Green's
exactly.
great.
Bobby Green coming off a week that he just fought.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's definitely bigger. That's a very hard award, but I'm gonna go with Islam overall. To the big boys, the big big awards, the ones that you guys want to know. Tori, we'll start with female fighter of the year. Who was your female fighter of the year? I have a feeling I know it, and I have a feeling we agree.
I am very proud to say my female fighter of the year was Miss Zhang Wei. I'm just kidding, Zhang Wei. I am awesome. Bad girl in the best way. Like just bad woman. Like awesome, amazing. Showed how cool she is and how dominant she is. She's finally back at the top. The one championship that went my way this year. The one that went my way this year. My queen. My queen. And I do not want to mess with her, but she is awesome. And I don't think I'm not even gonna say anything else. I mean,
No, yep. She's also my queen. I will also
Yeah.
give it to Zhang Weili. She was a beast. She was so dominant.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about Zhang Weili was that her improvements that she made after each fight. She's like,
Yeah.
oh man, I struggled with wrestling. Watch this. Oh, I did too much wrestling. I need to strike. Watch this. Oh, gets her belt back. Has all of the above. It was great.
And dominates her way to her belt back.
Dominates it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, got to give to Zhang. Male fighter of the year, Tori. I'll go first on this one, even though I think we'll probably agree. I'm going to give it to the man, Alexander Volkanovski. What a beast. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? If anybody's ever in the conversation for double champ, then they got to be fighter of the year, right? Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
he dominated everybody he fought, and he fought really, really good people. You could say Korean Zombie wasn't as good. Who else was he to fight at that point? You know?
Yeah.
And he dominated him. He showed mercy in that fight. He probably could have killed him and said, no, I won't kill him, but I'm definitely gonna beat him really bad. Tori, I'm really interested. Who do you have for male fighter of the year?
Alexander Volkanovski. I mean, how could you not choose Alexander Volkanovski? The man from down under. He is the best, probably one of the most dominant, one of the best mixed martial artists we have ever seen inside the octagon. The way he looked against Max Holloway was insane, especially of a guy of Max Holloway's caliber. It's
arguably
crazy
one of the
what
best boxers of all time.
Yes,
in
and people
MMA.
exactly in MMA, and people don't talk about how he was the backup fighter as well, how he stepped up to the plate. I think that also contributed.
Great point.
UFC 280 that he was willing to do that risk. He was willing to take that training for two opponents after breaking his hand. I think that should be also, a thing that should make people think of him as the fighter of the year, that he's willing to take that stand. He's an awesome guy, insanely dominant fighter, one of the best we have seen in the octagon. And I'm so excited to see him in the octagon with Islam.
Yeah, and he cooks a mean steak. He cooks a good burger.
Cooking with Volk.
Yeah, cooking with Volk. That makes him fighter of the year right there. Cooking
literally.
I love cooking. I'm gonna go off on a sidetrack. I love watching Cooking with Volk because it's cook so all fun. The time.
Yeah,
it's just
How could you not love it? It looks great.
Little dude that could beat me up easily. By the way, just telling me how to cook. It's awesome. I love it.
Hey, welcome back to Cooking with Volkanovski.
It's awesome. But that's gonna do it for our little award segment of today, or of 2022 today. New year. Next December, January, we'll give our rewards for this year. But I would say 2022 was the best year in MMA since I've been a fan, which is 3 years.
I would say it's the most shocking year. The year of the underdog.
It was crazy. Year of the underdog for sure. Yeah, 100%.
We lost a lot of champions.
Yeah.
You lost a lot of champions. I think, was Volkanovski the only one to keep his belt? Because I'm thinking flyweight went from Moreno to Davison, like first month of January. And then okay, well, he hasn't fought in like a year. Well, yeah, Francis kept his belt. And then sorry, I'm really trying to think. And then bantamweight.
Brandon lost his belt.
Oh, well, I guess Aljo state champion, because he was a champion.
Yep.
Aljo and Volk. Yeah, lightweight changed, welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight. Wow. Crazy
year.
Crazy year.
Tori, we got a fight night to talk about. We were kind of talking about it before. Not the most entertaining fight night. The UFC could have gave it a little something better to start the year, but it's okay. I won't complain.
It could have been great. It
they
could
have
have.
their own problems right now.
Yeah.
So they ain't worry about that. I'm gonna worry about breaking down the
Yeah.
fights. And then we got a good pay-per-view next week. I
Yeah.
was looking at the card, main card, pretty good. Prelims, haven't really looked too deep into it yet. Might be good, might be bad, but the main card, it's gonna be pretty fire. But Tori, let's start to talk about the main card for this week's fight night. I'll give you the first fight.
Alrighty. So starting off the card is actually the fight I am most excited for. Me and Alex are talking about. I think it's one of the ones you're kind of looking forward to the most as well, right?
I agree. Yes.
Yeah. It's going to be Nurmagomedov versus, I've heard multiple different ways. Is it Raoni, Barcelos? I heard people mention it different ways.
I heard it like
Roni.
Yeah, like they didn't even say the R.
Oni.
It was like I don't know. Weird
Anyways,
name.
Barcelos.
Barcelos.
So you have Umar Nurmagomedov, the cousin of Khabib. He is a true Nurmagomedov. 15-0. He has 3 wins in the UFC. And then you have Barcelos, who is 17-3-0, and he is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. This fight is very, very interesting because Barcelos is no dude to mess around with either. Because I could talk about Umar and like I do have notes about it, but I think I'm going to talk about Barcelos first because this man, he's a 5-time Brazilian national wrestling champion. 5 times. He has a 93% takedown defense. He has very, very solid striking. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Overall, a great, great mixed martial artist. Has power in his hands. An amazing wrestler. And I think if someone were to be able to stop Umar's takedowns, it's going to be him because I don't know. It's overall, Barcelos has more ways to win, but I'm not going to pick him to win. And I am going to say why. I mean, Umar Nurmagomedov, he's a Nurmagomedov, and he is a true Nurmagomedov. This man has Habib-style fighting. He is an amazing wrestler, and something that he actually does better than Habib is his striking is very, very good. When I say striking, I mean his leg kicks. His leg kicks are insane. This man throws one of the fastest, quickest question mark kicks I have ever seen.
Yeah, no, that's facts.
It's amazing. He's a chain wrestler. He's constantly pressuring forward. And the thing is that why I think he's going to win this fight is because he's constantly going to be looking for that takedown constantly. And he's not going to give up till he gets it. And I think he will eventually. I do think he will eventually. He is that good. And he's just a relentless wrestler and he's tough. I just think he's more technical. Barcelos overall has more ways to win, but I just think Umar Nurmagomedov is just so good at what he knows and what their style is, and I think he's going to take it. And I think it's going to be by decision. I don't necessarily see it ending in a finish.
Yeah, I definitely agree with most things you said. It was a very good breakdown. Some stats. Umar averages 5 takedowns a fight. 5. It's really high. In case you don't know, 5 takedowns, a lot of takedowns a fight. His striking's pretty good. I'd say it's okay. But he relies on his wrestling. Chain wrestling, Dagestan style. He misses, he goes again, he misses, he goes again, he misses, he goes again until he takes you down.
Yeah.
And mind you, those shots that you miss affect your takedown average. And he still averages 5 takedowns a fight. Pretty crazy to think about.
It's crazy, yeah.
Barcelos, on the other hand, really, really good striker. Probably the overall better mixed martial artist. Kind of like you were mentioning, BJJ champion or the Brazilian wrestling championships and stuff. He has good BJJ too. 93% takedown defense. That's high.
Yeah.
Do we remember this guy? His name's Jose Aldo. Aldo, actually. And he fought this other dude named Merab Dvalishvili. And everybody was like, oh, Merab's going to take him down. Merab's going to take him down. Merab's going to take him down. But Jose had a very high takedown defense.
Yeah.
Now,
he didn't, yeah.
Merab still won, but he didn't get taken down.
No.
So it's very, very interesting to think about. I think they're both really good wrestlers, but one has a last name, and it's Nurmagomedov. And that is the thing that makes me want to pick him. Something interesting, Tori, and I just thought about this, not in my notes, is have you seen that Habib is stepping away from coaching?
I was just about to say that. I was just about to bring that up. Yes, I did see that.
It's a big. It's a big thing because
It's a huge deal.
when you have a guy, this fight's going the distance. That was the thing I most agree with you. It's not going to end but in a finish, I don't think. Which means when you go to your corner to talk to your coaches about, hey, what do I need to do? That's an important thing, MMA fans. That's an important thing. It's not just let's get water, get rest, get back in there. It's
even when they're in their corner yelling during the fight.
Yeah, they're strategizing. There's a big difference between Umar Nurmagomedov being able to go to his corner and having Habib tell him what he needs to do and having somebody else tell him what he needs to do. It's a huge difference. Even with that being said, still going to go with Umar. But
yeah,
a lot of factors, a lot of moving pieces to this fight. That's going to make it really fun to watch, especially if you're not super into grappling, because it'll probably be high intensity grappling, and that's usually entertaining if you're not a fan.
I think it'll be like a very technical warfare, like a very technical war. I think it's going to be very interesting, and just in terms of all aspects of the
even
of
like
the sport.
The striking will be good. Like you said, the kicks, both of them have great
His
kicks.
leg kicks are snappy and quick.
Yeah.
Look up a leg kick compilation of Umar Nurmagomedov. You will be like, what? You'll be like, oh my gosh.
Even the striking is going to be high level, but I see overall 3-round fight grappling. But yeah, it's going to be an entertaining fight. That's also the fight that I'm most excited for, Tori. But there are other fights, and we're going to talk about them. Ketlin Vieira taking on Raquel Pennington. I had to do some research for this fight, and turns out it's got some implications. It's kind of an important fight, depending on what the UFC wants to do with it. Looking at Ketlin, powerful striker, very powerful, marches forward, throws with a lot of volume, hard, can take you down, can work on her can work off her back if she wants to. Sorry, Pennington does the exact same thing. She's also really good at kind of coming forward and just throwing. Raquel has really good cardio, and I would say her grappling is probably a little better. And this is a hard pick for me. Number one, because I don't feel super educated about this. And number two, it's just kind of hard because I think Ketlin can knock out Raquel, but if Ketlin doesn't knock out Raquel, then I think Raquel wins by decision. And that's kind of the only two ways I see it. So I'm gonna go with Raquel Pennington. That's my final pick by decision, but I could be very wrong. So what do you think, Tori?
I mean, it's a hard fight to pick. It is a very hard fight to pick. It really depends on how it goes. You have Vieira 3-2 in her last 5 fights, coming off of that really weird win over Holly Holm. A lot of people do not think she won that. She's a pressure fighter. She has very solid judo, good power. She's always coming forward. And when she does get the fighters in the clinch, she does do well within the clinch. She's very active. She's throwing uppercuts, throwing knees, throwing elbows. And then you have Pennington, who's 14-9-0, which that's kind of a gnarly record. 14-9-0. 4-1 in past 5 fights. She's on a 4-fight win streak actually right now, and she has fought. I was looking up. She's fought the best of the best. Her last win actually was Aspen Ladd. Our girl was a win over
Aspen Ladd. Let's go.
I know, but she did get beat by her. But or Aspen Ladd did lose.
Absolutely, yeah, she lost.
Yeah. But anyways, besides the point, she's fought everyone. She fought Amanda Nunes not too long ago for the title, but same almost fighting style as Holly Holm. She's comes forward. She always, you will see her pressuring. You will see her, I'm trying to put this into words, constantly throwing strikes to pressure her opponents against the cage to hold them there and control them there, because she is very good at controlling her opponents. She's an active striker, as I said before, great control. She needs to get Kelton in the clinch and take her down if Kelton does not do it first. Ketlin, I keep on saying Kelton. Ketlin. But the difference is not a lot of power. So like you had said, if Ketlin can knock her out, I think she can win. But I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think I'm gonna go with Ketlin in this fight. Not really not like very confident. Like if I was betting, I would not bet if I were old enough to bet on this. Just kind of a gut feeling, just because of her power and her judo that she possesses. I think she'll do well in the clinch. I think she'll be active if Pennington does get her in the clinch. I don't know, but I think the power is going to be a solid difference, and this is going to be a good fight.
Yeah, it will be. One thing I will mention, and you reminded me, is Raquel Pennington. She got taken down by Aspen Ladd in that fight. I can't remember how many times, but it was a couple times. She at least got
Yeah.
took down 2 times in that fight,
Hmm.
maybe 3, but I can't remember. I just watched it today. But that tells me like that puts more pressure on it. Well, and then Raquel won, right? So that puts more pressure on Kelton to finish Pennington
Yeah.
because like she even like striking's her strong suit,
Hmm.
but like even if that's not working, she wants to win by decision, take it down. Probably not going to happen with somebody like Raquel, who's been taken down in fights and still won either way. So yeah, that'll be an interesting fight. I'm kind of excited to watch that fight since we've talked about it now, Tori.
Yeah.
But give us the Coco main event. That was fight night, Tori.
The Coco main event of the night is gonna be. This is a very cool name. And I like it. Puna Hele. I've heard different ones. I've heard Puna Healy or Puna Hele, but I'm going Puna Hele. It's a cool name. Soriano versus Roman Kopylov. Alrighty, so these two actually have very similar records right now. They are both 9-2,
Mm-hmm.
9 wins, 2 losses, 0 no contest. They're both 3-2 in their last 5 fights, and they both knocked out their last opponent. So that just get that off the bat. Shoot what is it? Shoot 2 birds with 1 stone. I think that's the
Yep,
saying.
there you go.
I'm just gonna go with that. Anyways, so yeah, Soriano, he's a very solid wrestler. He has a lot of power in his hands and in his shots. He has good movement around the cage. He has been taken down 13 times in his last 6 fights, though. So yeah, not great takedown defense, but in this fight, needs to use his offensive wrestling because Kopylov is a kickboxer. He was a professional kickboxer. He's a very technical striker, has great fight IQ when it comes to striking, picks and chooses the shots that he throws, does not know how to deal with wrestling when he gets wrestled. His takedown defense is improving throughout the fight. He has good power when he's standing, but this is one of those fights, like you said before, this very much depends on where Soriano wants to take the fight. Because if he wants to keep it standing, then I'll have Roman all day. Because apparently he's also from Dagestan, but he's just kind of a different kind of style of fighting. But if it's standing, I'll copy off all day. I think it'll be easy one for him. Soriano chooses to use his wrestling. I think he can do it, and I think he can take Kopylov down. But at the same time, from where Kopylov's from, maybe he's even going to use wrestling because maybe he's been working on his wrestling, so maybe he can take Soriano down. I don't know. This is actually a hard fight to pick because their weaknesses are kind of like go hand in hand, like this, and then it's just they kind of matched up with each other.
Sure.
So I'm gonna go with Roman Kopylov. It's a very, very big possibility that Soriano can use his wrestling and definitely hold him down and win. But you know what? I'm gonna go with Roman. And
Well,
yeah,
Roman by
I had it here, but I
win.
just don't agree with it. Roman by win. I said at first I had Soriano by decision, but I don't agree with that anymore because I was talking about it out loud. So I'm gonna go Roman, and I'll say, you know what? I'll go second round finish for fun, and I can see it happening. He has some power. He's a very technical striker.
Fair enough. Big Roman Kopylov fan right here on the purple side of the screen. Love this dude. Like watching him fight. He's got great combos, relies on those kicks. But kickboxing, guys, fun fact, kickboxing, boxing, and kicks, they do it both, if you didn't know. So, I mean, he's definitely just an overall really good striker, has good power. He can finish you. Does struggle with wrestling pretty bad. He's not the best wrestler. Puna Healy, on the other hand, quick striker, pretty decent power, but he's got really good wrestling, good background in wrestling. He is sometimes like a finish or be finish kind of guy, which does worry me. But ultimately, if you're a follower of the channel, you know when it comes down to it, and I have to make a pick, and it's hard, and I look at styles. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to take the wrestler over the striker.
Yeah.
And it hurts my heart because I like Roman Kopylov a lot. I'm a Roman Kopylov fan. I think he's going to do big things. However, before he gets that wrestling fix, I don't see him winning it here. So It hurts me, but I'm gonna take Punahele in this one by decision.
Go by decision. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hard fight to choose. It's weird. Like I was saying before, their weaknesses kind of just balance each other out in a way. So it's just like who it's a hard fight to pick, but it's going to be interesting. The more we're talking about these out loud, the more I'm getting excited for this card actually.
Yeah, well, and we haven't done
Matchups.
this in a long time either, so
Yeah.
this is exciting to be back.
Yeah.
That was the co-main. Onto the co-main. We got Dan Ige taking on Damon Jackson. Dan, real fast, powerful striker, mixes his punches and his kicks pretty well. He also has a good ground game, and he will look for the submission. You might not expect it. You might not see it from a guy like Dan because you don't see it a lot. But when he is on the ground, he's looking for a submission. Damon Jackson, really good grappler. He has a good jab and a good cross. We saw in his last fight versus, can't remember, but he just kind of came forward and he was like, pow, 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 and it was awesome. And that's kind of how he is all the time. So he does struggle to get it to the ground sometimes. But when he does, he's pretty good. This is the same exact thing. You're getting a repeat breakdown from Alex Henry. Dan Ige, better striker, but Damon Jackson, better ground game. And a little better cardio, I would say, too. I think he has better cardio. So I know I'm going to take Damon Jackson. I'll probably go by decision as well. I like my grapplers and wrestlers over my strikers in the sport of mixed martial arts. And when I can't decide, that's what I look at. So, Tori?
I'm gonna disagree with you on this one. I think I'm gonna go with Dan. He is 1-4 in his past 5 fights, but I mean, you look at who he's lost to. He lost to Imavov, he lost to Emmett, so Chan Sung Jung, I mean, Korean Zombie, and then Calvin Cater. You know, those are no easy opponents, and I think the biggest difference in this fight is going to be Dan's experience. I mean, he very good striker. I'm talking about Dan, very good striker. Good wrestling, solid BJJ, very tough. Just overall, a well mixed martial artist and overall the more technical fighter. Then you have Jackson, who's actually on a 4-fight win streak right now, 4-1 in his past 5 fights. A very good grappler, pressure fighter, pressure/chain wrestler, good power in shots, very tough as well. Not the most technical fighter and has not faced the same competition as Dan. So for this one, also another hard pick because I was going to choose Dan, but now, you know what? I'm still going to go with Dan. I think he is a very, very solid fighter. And I'm hoping this is his comeback because I do want to see him win because he's an exciting guy to watch. And so I'm going to go with Dan for this one. And I'm going to go by decision. Overall, I think the experience is going to help him a lot. And I think it's going to be a step up for Jackson. This is a big step up, but I think Dan's going to take it.
Yeah, and I mean, to Dan's credit, he's not getting knocked out and submitted. He's fighting these really good guys that you mentioned, and he's lost by decisions. So, I mean, L's an L, but it's not like he's fighting good guys and getting beat hard. He's in the fight.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about Damon Jackson, though, and I've heard it from a lot of people, and I did hear it from you, it's not necessarily that you said it, but Dan Ige, very experienced. So is Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson has more fights than Dan Ige. He has more wins than Dan Ige. Has he fought the same level of talent? No. Has he fought at the same stage? Not necessarily. But fight experience at the end of the day is fight experience. Every time you get to fight, you will get better, win or lose, because you get to take something from that fight and improve. So I'm not too worried about the Damon Jackson experience, but we'll see. This is a hard fight to pick, Tori. Also, Damon Action Jackson, Action Jackson. This is good. It's good. What's Dan Ige's nickname? You know,
let me see.
50K. Isn't that what it is, or 60K? Or
Dan. Where does it not say it on ESPN anymore?
Does he have a nickname? Does he have a nickname?
I don't see it on ESPN. Wait, 50K.
You're 50K. Right. 50K, Dan. Yeah, Dan 50K.
50K. That's a cool name.
Yeah, good nicknames. Good nicknames here. On to the main event, Tori. I'm going to give it to you. Who's fighting? Who's going to win?
Of course, Sean Strickland's fighting. Like, of course he is. Like, I'm not surprised. This man spars every day. Of course, he stepped up and took this fight on 3 days' notice. So we have Sean Strickland versus Nasruddin Imavov. I always forget how to say it. I always read it as Imavov, but it's Imavov, I believe. Yes,
Imavov,
I like
correct.
Yeah. So this fight is actually going to be at 205. It was originally supposed to be at middleweight, but Nasruddin was supposed to be facing Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum got hurt. It's believed he got hurt while sparring. We do not know. So Sean Strickland on 3 days' notice stepped up and took the fight. So this is going to be a fun little breakdown because I'm mostly just talking about Sean Strickland in this. So Strickland right now is 25, 5-0. He is 3-2 in his past 5 fights. Took the fight, like I said, 3 days' notice. It's all going to depend on how well will he be. It's been 3 days. This man just got back from the holidays, was probably drinking, was probably eating some yummy food, and it wasn't like the fight was a quick finish for him. It wasn't like it was a quick knockout, first round knockout win. No, this was a 5-round it was an intense fight. It wasn't a little chip on the shoulder. It was an intense fight. So do I think it's too soon? Yes. Do I think it's smart? No. But it's Sean Strickland, so he just does what he does. Anyway, sorry, getting into the actual breakdown.
No, that's important for the breakdown. That's important.
Yeah. It's a big factor of it.
Yep.
I mean, ever since the Alex Pereira fight, in the Sean Strickland fight, he looked scared. I mean, not in the Sean Strickland fight. In the Cannonier fight, he looked scared. He looked timid. He was not marching forward like he usually does. When he was in front of Alex Pereira, he was marching forward like he could beat him up, and we know that simply did not happen. And so in the Cannonier fight, he looked timid, and so I'm wondering what Sean Strickland we will get. But other than that, he's always throwing shots. He has a very good straight jab. He has very solid cardio. He's just overall a consistent fighter, not like the best, not the worst. I believe he's kind of in between. Always moving forward, not a very powerful guy. He has good takedown defense and pretty good takedowns when he needs them, and he's always holding that high guard. And then you have Nasruddin. He last had his win against Joaquin Buckley. He's 4-1 past 5 fights. He's on a 3-fight win streak. He is a huge guy, so I think not having to get down to 185 is actually going to work in his advantage. Very solid grappling, a pressure fighter, good striking. As I said before, grappling, heavy. He has very heavy hands, good power. He had a great win against Buckley. In the first 2 rounds, he was solid. He was moving around. He was beating Buckley up. But in the 3rd round, you kind of saw him fade a little bit, and that was 3 rounds. This is going to be 5, so that's another thing that kind of plays into this fight. He did show how tough he was, though, because he did survive that 3rd round, and he did end up getting that win, and decisively. And I'm picking Nasruddin to win this one because I think Strickland is I just think he's kind of a straightforward fighter, and I just think Nasruddin has more ways to win. And especially if Strickland has only had 3 days, he's just couldn't wait. I don't know. I don't really see a way Strickland wins this fight, to be honest. I don't. But I'm gonna choose Nasruddin Imavov, and pretty decisively. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, Tori. I mean, I said it in our last podcast we did when Strickland fought Cannonier. I said, Tori, I hate to say it because I like the guy, kinda. But Sean Strickland, probably the most overrated fighter in the UFC right now. I said that. I would not say he's the most overrated anymore now because people watched the Jared Cannonier fight and they probably agree with me now. Now they're probably like, now he was overrated in that fight. Now he's properly rated. Like you said, he's very readable. He's very average. You kind of know what he's going to do. Doesn't mean he's bad by any means, but he's not crazy good. Great breakdown on Sean Strickland. No, I'm not even going to talk about him. Fact that he's coming in on 3 days' notice is all I need to say. Imavov, dude's a good wrestler, can strike when he wants to, throws good combos, throws great combos, because those guys that like to wrestle are good at like their combos, so they can throw a combo and they can take you down. That's kind of their goal. So he's got good combos, but ultimately he wants to get you on the ground. Averages less than a takedown a fight, Tori. Can you believe that? Guy that wants to wrestle averages less than a takedown a fight. Isn't that kind of interesting? Yeah. But ultimately, in a 5-round fight versus a guy who is coming into it on a 3-day notice, who's very readable, versus a guy who's been training for a whole camp already, for Kevin Gastelum, which is also a guy who's very readable.
Yeah.
I'm taking Nasruddin Imavov, and I'm also very confident. Honestly, I would have never said finish if it was Kevin Gastelum, because Kevin Gastelum's got that dog in him.
He's a tough dude.
He
Yeah.
don't give up, whether he comes in that night ready to fight or he comes in that night high because
Yeah.
he smokes a lot of weed. Doesn't matter. Dude's going to be a dog either way.
Yeah.
Sean Strickland doesn't have that dog. So, like,
At
this
least
should
not
be,
anymore.
at least not anymore, for sure. So, I definitely got to go with Imavov here, Tori. And that's going to wrap up today's episode 17 of Not Your Everyday MMA. And we have some disagreements going into the new year. I like when we disagree because that
Yeah.
means one of us has got to be right. Even though it is nice when we both agree as well. Audio only podcast. We have them. Apple Podcast, Spotify. Have some other things. If you're, not a mainstream audio listener, you can listen to your
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. I
Just
don't
kidding.
think I don't think we're
We're
on
not. We are
SoundCloud.
not on SoundCloud. I was just kidding.
We
I don't
might
know.
be. I don't know. I'm not sure. But there's like a lot of things. We're on a lot of things. So
Yeah.
if you're audio only person, we appreciate you. Come over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, go back to being an audio only listener. And if you're on the YouTube channel, we appreciate you guys. We're gonna have a great year. The goal is 1,000 subs, but I want to decimate that goal. Like, goal is 1,000 subs. I want it higher than 1,000, but at least 1,000 subs. We'll have more interviews with more fighters, hopefully, and weekly content. We're gonna give you guys a video every single week. We're not missing. We took a break. We don't need any more breaks. So, yeah, that's gonna be it. As always, my name is Alex Henry, and I was with
Tori Habrel. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. We are signing off.